Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think it's a great pleasure and honor to stand before this August gathering and share with you, some of the thoughts why we really need to switch over to the electric mobility to decarbonize our transport systems. I'm just coming from Delhi 2 days ago when the Delhi was practically closed. All schools were closed because there was smog enough, there was pollution enough, and breathing was a problem in a capital city of India. It's not that other cities are not facing, others are also facing similar problems. And I think that's the challenge where we have to really move on and switch over to better fuels. CNG helped for some time, but now I think CNG itself is not really meeting the kind of challenges that we are having, let's say, in a city like Delhi. I am actually going to my session. In fact, my presentation is going to introduce you two things. One, of course, the IRU. IRU is as an organization, it's an International Road Transport Union, a very old organization of 1948, based in Geneva, with also its chapters in Brussels, Istanbul, New York, and elsewhere. And their main focus is only one, single, and that is to basically push the public road transport by buses, taxis, and coaches. So I'm just going to introduce, because they have started working in India since last year. There were only 8 members founding, but today they have 100 members, over a period of time. They have evolved, developed, working in almost like 100 countries today. As I said, IRU's main focus is on transport, public transport, but we are focusing both on freight as well as on passenger. But for public road transport, taxi group is also very important because taxis are part of the public transport. We are global, as I said, working in almost like 100 countries, and our initiatives relate to mobility, safety, community, and sustainability, as well as assisting members in implementing, I would say that, UN Road Transport Conventions. There are many. There is a training academy in Geneva, which actually is the only global body dedicated to road transport training, both for taxis, buses, and trucks, etc. And we run internationally recognized courses, basically for crash prevention, eco-driving, etc. Very recently, there is a larger focus on innovations. And innovation, we now got an innovation department in place with a dedicated mobility innovation. And there's a task force which is composed of not only IRU members, experts, but also focusing on new mobility and business concepts and enabling technologies. And the focus is basically on electric mobility, digital platforms with which you are now getting so familiar, and aggregators. The chairman has referred about Uber and Ola. There are many others. Now you've got a shared taxis through BlaBlaCars and many others. Then automated driving is also now going to be a reality. The next Olympics in Japan, 100% driving will be automatic. And that's the way the world is moving forward. And I think one of the other focus area is also mobility as a service, MaaS as we call it. I would also like to draw your attention on the various global sustainable development pillars that we have. Last year, in September 2015, UN accepted Sustainable Development Goals, 17 goals, 169 targets. But let me first refer that 7 out of the 17 goals address directly or indirectly mobility and transport. It's so important, basically. Then you have in December 2015, we had the Paris Climate Change Agreement, which also takes into account the real good challenges, of emissions because of, I would say that, transport, very particularly the urban transport. And just last month, the world with 167 countries present in Ecuador, there was a UN Habitat 3 conference, accepted what is called New Urban Agenda and really created a kind of new vision for the next 20 years, basically, and where, as a matter of fact, transformation in mobility policy is underscored vigorously, because if you want sustainable cities, if you want inclusive cities, if you want resilient cities, if you want safe cities, you have to address the challenges that we are facing so far as mobility is concerned. And just last year again, we had this Addis Ababa Action Agenda mainly for financing development globally, where, as a matter of fact, one of the underlying feature has been a focus on public-private partnership, and very particularly the role the private sector shall be playing, without which, as a matter of fact, the development agenda that is globally accepted in 2030 will not be achievable. There is a need for paradigm shift, friends, basically, and we have to really focus. We have been talking for the last 2 days. Actually, we have to focus on mobility of the people and their quality of life. We have to ensure access of the people for work and other things through transport, which is actually very sustainable. The focus is on words, basically, people, and then access, basically. These are the two very key things which I like to mention. There's a need for prioritizing door-to-door collective public transport, and that's the focus of IRU. Door-to-door collective public transport. And there's a key role of the private transport, as I said earlier. There's a need for setting clear policy and business targets for growth of public transport. For decarbonizing transport, my dear friends, IRU is committed. And if I may very particularly say that we have now got a very special group that is working. We have signed up a kind of major new project launched by the International Transport Forum aimed at ending the transport sector's reliance on hydrocarbon fuels. This is a decarbonizing transport project which will help the transport sector meet its obligations as part of the COP21 and basically help tackling climate change. It's also supporting to aim at achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The project actually seeks to achieve zero transport emissions by 2050 by establishing a comprehensive modeling framework. And very particularly, I would say that IRU has taken up two major initiatives in this regard. One is relating to IRU, what is called IRU Commercial Vehicle of the Future. That's first initiative. And the second one is IRU's Lighthouse for electric taxis, because taxis also now are assuming a lot of importance. This is a scenario that we know, we have seen these pictures, but there is a lot of traffic, but it's not that you are stuck in traffic. You are traffic when you are there, basically that. So we have to, to deal with this situation, we decided to initiate what we call Smart Move. Well, the Smart Move vision, basically, this is what I want to really share with you, is to really underscore the role of buses and coaches in today's transport system. The vision is mainly safe, clean, affordable, efficient, and user-friendly transport. And where the focus is largely on collective, land transport. Collective land transport. The focus is on mobilizing policy objectives of doubling the use and modal share of collective transport. As I said, in particular, again, buses, coaches, and taxis, which is our key agenda that we are trying to focus on. They are the, buses, coaches, and taxis, they are the most dynamic part of the door-to-door mobility chain. This is very important. And therefore, the closest competitor of this is private car, which we want to reduce. From a shared vision towards a structured implementation backed by a coherent governance plan and a dedicated funding instrument. IRU is presently working in, it started working actually in the Europe about 3 years ago. Although it's a very old organization, but the focus of the Smart Move was started with European Union per se, then moved on to Eurasia, all these CIS countries and others. Also in Morocco in September 2015. And then last year we took this initiative of having a Smart Move high-level group in India. I'll just familiarize you with the high-level group in India because that's very important, where we like to engage and involve all of you. And then actually, just this year, we have a major initiative also in Africa, which is coming up. And of course, there are initiatives planned for South America also. What is this Smart Move high-level group? We are working out a common vision and recommendations of the development of an efficient, safe, and affordable bus, coach, and taxi mobility system in India. And this is very important for you who are our partners in this. In this, the partners are the government to begin with. There are 3 ministries which are involved. It's the Ministry of, although not all are listed here, it's the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways under Honorable Mr. Nitin Gadkari. We have Ministry of Urban Development on board with IUT, with which actually a memorandum of understanding is there. Then we also have Niti Aayog now, which is actually preparing today a vision document for electric mobility at this moment. Then it is the Department of Heavy Industry, which has a major plan in implementing National Electric Mobility Mission, and they have actually already got this program, what they call FAME, Faster Adoption of Electric Mobility Vehicles, basically that. And then we have the private sector, and we have a distinguished presence of, the Vice President from Volvo, who's a speaker here, is one of our, I would say that one of the person who's there, one of the organization who are part of this group working for this. And our objective, there are also Asian Development Bank and World Bank. They are also partners in this group besides many others. So the role basically, as I defined earlier, is to work out a common vision and recommendations for the development of an efficient, safe, and affordable bus, coach, and taxi mobility system in India. We have already prepared, no doubt, a kind of report which was presented last month during the Habitat 3 conference. But at the same time, as a matter of fact, that report is submitted to the government for, as a matter of fact, further action in this matter. The focus areas are mainly 4. We are focusing on urban mobility. We are focusing on intermediate public transport. There was a very good session yesterday on the intermediate public transport, and that's what's really needed for large number of our cities and towns, 4,041 towns and cities, particularly smaller and medium ones. Electromobility, and then of course the long distance bus transport. These are our focus areas. This Smart Move high-level group report on electromobility, as a matter of fact, we have already drafted. I shall be very happy sharing with you some of those elements, but essentially, if I may say so, the focus is mainly to ensure that the target of the National Electric Mobility Mission are really met. The target is by 2030, on the Indian roads, we must have 30% of the vehicles which are electrically run, battery operated, and things like that. So basically, if I may say, that's the focus. But also, I would like to mention that IRU is also a partner at a global level with UN Habitat, with which they signed an MOU 2 years ago in 2014. And UN Habitat has signed, has, as a matter of fact, launched at a global level an initiative, what is called Urban Electric Mobility Initiative. I'll just take, with few slides, just to introduce you this program on Urban Electric Mobility Initiative, and that's where perhaps I think we are trying to focus on. The objective of this Urban Electric Mobility Initiative is mainly for decreasing urban CO2 emissions by increasing the market share of electric vehicles in cities to 30% of annual vehicle sales, including, of course, the motorized two and three wheelers, basically. Then integrating electric mobility into a wider concept of sustainable urban transport that achieves a 30% reduction of greenhouse gas emissions in urban areas by 2030. As I said, the initiative was launched in September 2014. If you see, actually, we also have, I think UN Habitat has got several partners, and as a matter of fact, who are actually undertaking several actions in this matter. There are large number of institutions, not everyone is listed here. Basically, what are they doing? As international partnership program, they are supporting deployment of electric mobility and sustainable transport by enabling, preparing feasibility studies, knowledge sharing events, development of project proposals, identifying key innovations and examine transferability. And for selected cities in which, from India, Kochi is involved very directly with this initiative. The concepts are being developed for technical as well as political feasibility. That's very important. Financing, scalable projects starting with pilots, and integration in existing activities. There is a kind of integrated approach to e-mobility, which I thought I'd like to share with you. E-mobility, as a matter of fact, is a part of a balanced, sustainable urban mobility concept. And
Doctor,
that's
may
where
I request to fasten it up?
I'll just take another 2 minutes, basically. Avoiding, shifting, and improving. Reducing the travel activity, basically, that's reducing the travel activity. It's very important to reduce growth in activity. Then shifting, changing travel structure through shifts to different modes of travel. And then, of course, improving, lowering vehicle energy intensity and reducing fuel carbon intensity. I think that is the kind of integrated approach, to the e-mobility. There's a kind of big potential of this integrated approach, and I think the main benefits are improving the air quality, traffic congestion, safety, and overall societal mobility. Among the key factors for low carbon e-mobility are certainly many, and basically would like to highlight and say that they serve strongly to decrease the average LDV fuel carbon intensity by 2035. There are different options which are available. e-mobility for car sharing, and public transport fleets. Public transport, it's very important that, today you have not only the passenger cars, which are also being used as taxis, but also buses, very particularly. They are no doubt expensive, but at the same time, as a matter of fact, hopefully the cost will come down with the battery and the charging costs coming down. In Manila, you have e-tricycles being run on that. Electric taxis in Shenzhen, entire taxi fleet by the end of this year, that is by the end of next month, will be electric. There are different options which are available. Electric two-wheelers, no doubt, are very, very popular in China, although of course they are being banned for reasons because of the accident and road safety reasons. Basic requirements which are there are to standardize charging infrastructure. Battery costs need to be really addressed, and battery replacement and recycling issue also are very, very important. The balanced approach which is required for vital success are, I'll just say, stronger shifts to low carbon modes. There's a need for addressing the issue of travel demand, which is lower fuel and technology switch targets are easier to achieve. The UN Habitat's main focus is on knowledge sharing and training. I'll not go through this diagram, but basically we have been working in several cities, including, as I said, Kochi is one where perhaps I think they are working with them. And this probably is the kind of last slide. City actions which are really needed are that there is a need for, some kind of updates from take-up cities. And Brazil is one where the pilot project in Belo started with a speed limit of 30 km/h. We'd like to invite Indian cities, Indian organizations to participate in this initiative and join them. And I think we'll also welcome you to contribute to the IRU's initiatives in this regard. Thank you so much.